Time once again for Community Forum, and we're very lucky to have with us live in the studios this morning Kevin Danaher. Kevin Danaher is the co-founder of the human rights group Global Exchange. His articles have appeared in such publications as the Los Angeles Times, the San Francisco Chronicle, the International Herald Tribune, and the Financial Times of Zimbabwe. He is the author and/or editor of numerous books, including Corporations Are Going to Get Your Mama, Globalization and the Downsizing of the American Dream, Democratizing the Global Economy, Insurrection, Citizen Challenges to Corporate Power, which he co-authored with Jason Marks, and his latest book, Building the Green Economy, Success Stories from the Grassroots. He is also a founder and executive producer of the Green Festivals, two-day events bringing together hundreds of green economy companies, and happening today and tomorrow at the Washington State Convention and Trade Center. Start out, if you would, and briefly tell us a little bit about Global Exchange.
Yeah, we were started back in 1988. We're in our 20th year, and our goal is to educate the American people about what's really going on in the world. What we found in our own, the three individuals who started the organization, we're now up to about 50 staff. We had traveled around the third world, Africa, Asia, Latin America, the Caribbean, and we saw a huge disjuncture between what the corporate media and the government here are telling people about what's going on in the world. You know, be afraid, be very afraid. Oh, those communists, the terrorists, all this kind of stuff. And we realized going out there that most people wanted to be our friends. And they weren't really hating America. They were hating our bad foreign policies. They didn't like the World Bank and the IMF coming in and pushing them around, telling them how to run their economies. They didn't like U.S. corporations coming in, extracting their materials, paying them low wages in sweatshops, things like that. And we realized that here you have the American people who are basically decent people. They understand, if I'm beating up a 6-year-old, that's not a fair fight. They have a sense of justice. Yet you go around the world and you see people who don't like our foreign policy because they see us as this bully. We've got over 700 major military bases outside our country, and they're not really there to promote democracy or development. They're there to protect corporations that come from the United States to come in and extract wealth. Those companies will only go into another country on the presupposition that they can take away more money than they put in. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it, right? It's not a charity. It's a profit-making corporation. So we wanted to educate the U.S. population about U.S. foreign policy and the role of our corporations, the role of our government agencies. And our subtitle is Building People-to-People Ties, getting people in the United States, just regular folks like us, connected with the development projects, the literacy campaigns, the women's organizations, the peasant groups, the trade unions, the opposition political parties, and make them realize that a lot of our tax money is going to support governments that if you knew what those governments were like, you wouldn't support them. Saudi Arabia, it's a dictatorship. It's a royal family. Do we support royalty? I think we fought a revolution against England that was based on that principle. So our educational spectrum, it spans reality tours where we take people out on tours. We do probably about 50, 60 tours a year. We're doing about probably 20, 25 trips just to Venezuela, group trips. Because, people hear this, Hugo Chavez is this really horrible guy. Well, let's just put that aside for a minute. Let's go and meet the Venezuelan people, see what's actually going on in Venezuela. And then you make up your mind not about what you think Venezuela should do, but what should U.S. policy toward Venezuela be? Because as U.S. citizens, that's our responsibility, not telling Venezuela or Cuba or Mexico or anybody else how to run their country, but what should our policy toward that country be? And then we equip them with tools like how to get on the radio, how to do an op-ed, how to write a letter to the editor, how to do a house party, how to organize a demonstration, so that when they come back from these trips, they can then influence other people and say, well, look, I was just in South Africa, and it's not what was just on CNN. What's really going on is, here's what I saw with my own eyes. We have stores where we sell third world crafts that are made by these grassroots groups. These are groups that they don't want charity. They want a market for their products. But because the markets are so jammed up by, Nestle and Walmart and General Motors, whatever, they can't get their products sold. So we bring their products in, sell them, and because we're a nonprofit, we can give them the profits, and it makes a big difference. People who are living on $1 a day, $2 a day, if you bump their income up to $4 a day, that's huge, right? It's a 100% increase. So we publish books, the traditional educational material stuff, very active website, globalexchange.org. We do e-activism and e-commerce. We sell all these third world craft products online as well on that Global Exchange site. And we do events like the Green Festival. So about 7 years ago, we teamed up with Co-op America. They're based in Washington, D.C. They have a thing called the Co-op America Business Network. It's 3,000, probably over 3,000 by now, green economy companies that they filter for social justice and environmental restoration. And then we set up this event that's a combination trade show, about 350 green economy companies, and a conference with about 150 speakers. And then we have a food court area, all organic, vegetarian restaurants, live music all day long, a place for the kids. So you bring your kids. Kids will have all sorts of fun, but also educational stuff about nature and the environment. Bring in wild animals, birds of prey, snakes, other stuff, so kids can actually get exposed to nature. A lot of them don't get that on a normal basis, especially city kids. And basically what we're trying to do is show the public. We get like 30 to 40,000 people at these shows. San Francisco last November, we had 41,000 people come through the door. And it's saying to people, look, the green economy already exists. It's not something off in the future. Whatever product you're interested in, baby diapers. Well, there's compostable baby diapers. Plant food for your house plants. There's organic plant food in recycled soda bottles. So it's garbage wrapped in garbage. It's taken out of the waste stream. In fact, in my new book, Building the Green Economy, we've got a chapter about TerraCycle. It's a company that takes liquid compost, it's basically liquid worm poop, put it in recycled soda bottles. Everything about the company is all recycled. It's stuff pulled from other people's waste stream. And the guy who started it was a 24-year-old college dropout. And he got this idea, and now he's this hugely successful entrepreneur. And he says, I didn't start the company to save the environment. I started the company to prove you could make a lot of money saving the environment. And that's, if you get the two greens, the green of money and the green of nature, to coincide and synergize and strengthen each other, that's a magic combination. I was raised on this propaganda that, in order to save the environment, it's going to cost us jobs. Well, in fact, when you look at the data, what it shows is that money invested in the green economy produces more jobs than money invested in the nature-destroying economy. If you compare, for example, the energy industry, money invested in renewable energy, solar, wind, geothermal, creates a lot more jobs than nuclear, oil, natural gas, coal. So you're starting to see a shift now in the money. While that nature-destroying economy is going down, the green economy is just kicking butt. The growth rate is amazing, and there's all this capital shifting because as the environment gets destroyed, the value of saving the environment, any technology or business model that saves the environment, goes up in value. And that's guaranteed to increase because the water's being depleted, the air's getting polluted, the energy, the oil's running out. All these resources are being depleted or poisoned, so the value of saving the environment goes up, and we're starting to see a paradigm shift now to the green economy.
So do you work with local groups and organizations when you come to the different cities?
Yeah, our basic strategy is we started in San Francisco, we added Washington, D.C., Chicago, and now Seattle, and we're happy to say this is our first annual show. We hope to come back every year. And what we do is we set up a host committee. So we go to the mayor's office, and we go to the county council, and we go to the local environmental groups, and we go to the local green companies and the activists and the entrepreneurs, and we say, look, we've got basically three sectors. We've got a government sector, we got a nonprofit sector, and we got a business sector. And a lot of times they don't know each other, or they're at loggerheads, or they're fighting each other over regulations, or we say, wait a minute. We're all into this green economy in one way or another. We want to see a cleaner environment. We want our kids growing up drinking water that's not going to give them cancer 20 years down the road. We want good schools. We want safe streets. Let's get together, do an event where the best thinking in all three different sectors, particularly around the green economy and the triple bottom line of social justice, environmental restoration, and financial sustainability, what's usually called profit. I call it financial sustainability because, if you look at Global Exchange, it's about a $7-8 million a year budget. it's mostly entrepreneurialism. We have stores, the tours make money, the book publishing makes money, the events make money. So less than 10% of our budget is foundation grants. Most nonprofits, it's foundation grants. And we devised early on a strategy of saying, wait a minute, if we have stores and tours and book publishing and things that each thing generates its own revenue and pays for itself, that'll create stability. You got a whole bunch of different streams of revenue. They're all going to fluctuate a little bit over time, but if you've got diverse revenue streams, that'll give you balance. It's like a centipede. If it breaks one leg, it's not going to fall over because it's got a whole bunch of other legs. So I think partly because we were so radical and we were so critical of corporate domination that it allowed us to use enterprise as a model and not worry about anybody saying, oh, you're a bunch of capitalists, you're just trying to get rich. You know, I paid myself $28,000 last year. I'm 57 years old with a PhD and 12 books out. But you know, it's a question of how much do you really need? And you figure out how much you need. You know, look at these banker guys the guy who was head of Bear Stearns, he was worth $1 billion on paper. And when he had to sell his shares recently, he sold it for $60 million. So now he's still rich, $60 million, but he went from being worth $1 billion down to $60 million. You know, it's like, dude, how much do you need? Do you really need to be a billionaire? So we're trying to say to people, look, there's a values revolution going on here. Every revolution up until now was a national revolution where people sought to gain control in the capital city and change that country, run the country differently. It's true of our revolution, French Revolution, Russian Revolution, Chinese Revolution. But in 1994, the Zapatistas rose up in southern Mexico. And they didn't rise up saying, we want to control Mexico, we want to take over the Mexico City and run this country differently. They rose up against an economic model dominated by these big corporations that are coming in, cutting down their forests and starving their children. And they said, you know, we'd rather die on our feet than live on our knees. Now, they didn't have much military clout. They didn't have good weapons or anything like that. The Mexican military could have crushed them really easily. But their message resonated so well around the world to other people that were getting screwed by this very top-down, hierarchical, rich get richer, poor get poorer economy, that people rose up. In San Francisco, we went down and occupied the Mexican consulate in San Francisco and said, hey, you want your office back? You better call Mexico City and pull those troops off. And the Mexican military backed off, and they didn't destroy the Zapatistas. And what we see going on around the world is this kind of grassroots values revolution that's not just about, you know, controlling the political process. It's about creating a different kind of economy, an economy that creates good jobs and does it not by destroying nature, but by restoring nature. And when you get that financial green and the green of nature to coincide and synergize each other, then you got a different model. And I think a more robust model, a stronger model.
So maybe you can give us a few more examples from out of your latest book, Building the Green Economy, of local solutions, because we see advertised on TV, for instance, you know, Archer Daniels Midland getting into the biofuels.
Yeah, well, that's actually, you know, it's contradictory because when big corporations start genuflecting in the direction of your values and start imitating you, that shows, you know, you're doing something that's really smart. So I always tell people, yeah, all right, we don't want them to control the green economy like they controlled the old economy, but on the other hand, it shows that we're on the right track, because if you look at just straight mathematics of the annual rate of return on money, the green economy is where the best profits are. And if you watch the capital markets, I follow I get emails every day following these capital markets. The smart money is not going into leveraging subprime real estate mortgages with derivatives and all this kind of nonsense. It's going into the green economy. So you get things like in Minnesota, Carleton College and St. Olaf College, two colleges in the same town, they got into this competition about which campus could be more green. So the one campus, they say, we're going to set up a farm on campus. We're going to grow vegetables and sell them to the cafeteria And that's a contract that the cafeteria is willing to sign, because now, instead of writing that check to some wholesale distributor that's bringing in canned carrots or canned potatoes or canned onions, whatever, they're getting organic stuff from the students right there on the campus. The students are getting an education about how to run a business, how to grow crops. You can have botany classes, all sorts of educational math and science, but they're also learning how to run a business, how to balance the books, how do you devise a contract. And that money that the school would have been given to some outside contractor, now it keeps that money on the campus. It provides jobs for the students. It's a nice little closed loop. The other campus says, oh yeah, well, we're going to set up a wind energy tower on our campus and generate wind energy. And they go back and forth who can be the most green. And we're taking this now in San Francisco. Global Exchange just got a contract with the city government, the city school system, to develop a plan like this for the high schools. Because a lot of these high school kids, they're dropping out. When you look at the dropouts and you look at their grades, the majority of them were getting passing grades when they dropped out. It wasn't that they flunked out. They left because it was boring. They didn't like it. It wasn't relevant to them. So we're saying, look, let's do service learning, environmental service learning. Let's get them out visiting a solar energy company, companies that do energy audits on buildings and retrofits of green building technology and organic farming and waste processing, composting, recycling, and architecture firms, whatever, so that they get a sense of, look, you've got a lot of options. Empowerment, a lot of what empowerment consists of is knowing your options. And a lot of these kids don't realize how many options they've got. There's like about 22 different job categories in the green economy that don't require a college education. And they're perfect for, dropouts or people with a criminal record or single mothers or what have you. And that research is all coming in now, laying out this wide diversity of jobs that are happening. And a lot of these green companies call us up and say, hey, I need staff. I'm expanding. I'm getting new investment money, but I need some people that know how to show up to work on time and not call the boss names. And, can they just handle some tools? We'll train them. They just need those basic social skills. So we're working with the school system, and the basic idea is start with the high schools. We're also working with the city college, the community college, and then San Francisco State, the four-year college, so that we create kind of like a green workforce development pipeline. Because if you're going to have a green economy, you got to have a green workforce. Well, the green economy is expanding rapidly, but the education system isn't quite, up to the task of training people up adequately. So we're trying to create this green careers pipeline, and then we can go to the companies and say, look, you spend a lot of money recruiting, training, and retaining personnel. We'll do that for you, and we'll deliver up these people, but then you can write a tax-deductible donation to the nonprofit that's doing you this service, right? And they're happy with that because, they can use the tax write-off, and they spend a lot of money recruiting people. And I know from my own organization, the recruitment of personnel, the hiring process, that's probably the most important thing you're going to do as an organization. You get the right people, you can do anything. You can raise money, develop new programs. You get the wrong people who'd rather fight with each other instead of doing the job, it's a disaster, right? And then you got to get rid of them. You got to do your search all over again, the hiring process. So we're trying to create this green workforce development structure because in the current energy bill that was signed into law in December, there's $125 million for, particularly in the energy sector, green job training. Van Jones, who's on one of my boards of directors, he's this amazing guy. He's one of these speakers that you can know exactly what he's going to say, and when he says it, it still makes you cry. He's just such an effective orator. He's in Washington shaking down the money tree, and in future energy bills coming out of Congress, there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars for inner city green job training. Because you kill two birds with one stone. You strengthen the green economy by training people up, but you're also dealing with the poverty, inequality, racism issue by focusing on people who got left behind by the last economy. And we're saying, hey, when the green economy train leaves the station, it can't leave behind the same people that got left behind the last time. So there's this focus now on, he's got a new organization called, it's Green for All. green jobs for all and focus on inner city underserved communities and get the training in there. So there's going to be a lot of money coming to trade unions and community colleges and any institutions, nonprofits that have these training programs set up. So we're saying to people, look, like we're developing curriculum. We've got a curriculum that I'll be happy to share with anybody. If you email me, my email is kevin@globalexchange.org. It's a curriculum, a 13-week course on how do you develop a sustainability plan for your campus. Because a lot of these campuses, they're hiring some outside consulting firm, paying them a lot of money to come in and write a sustainability plan for their campus. How do you do recycling and composting? How do you do green building materials? How do you save energy? How do you conserve water? That technology is all there, but you're paying that consulting firm a bunch of money, and then you got to report at the end of the day. Okay, and maybe it sits on a shelf. How are you going to implement? Whereas if you do it as a course, you got a bunch of students and faculty then who go through the process. They benefit. They learn from it. You still get a good sustainability plan, but it's done by your people who are based there on your campus, and then they can put it on their resume and say, yeah, well, I developed a sustainability plan for X college, So you get a lot of, it's like multiple impacts. There's a basic principle called stacking of functions. We're developing a real estate model for a green building in San Francisco where the stationary bicycles and rowing machines and arm cranks in the eco gym will recharge the rechargeable electric cars next door in the garage. The merry-go-round in the courtyard park for the kids, the merry-go-round will pump water up into the tank on the roof, and that tank feeds the drip irrigation system that's growing crops on the terraces. So in the food court, you're serving food that was grown right there on the building, and you can say to people, hey, you want to see where that salad came from? It's just right here on the next level. Actually, you want to pick your salad. You want to meet the youth group that grew this food. So you're getting a social impact, you're getting an environmental impact, and you're getting a financial impact because you're saving money. You're making money in the process of healing our society and healing nature. We just think that triple bottom line is going to kick butt.
So getting back to the green festivals themselves, what do communities, the people that don't get the opportunity to come to a green festival, get once the green festivals depart? Right.
Well, what we do with the host committee is we say, look, we want to make sure that the problem with events is the event happens, it's like a peak, it goes up and down, and then it's over with. So we work with the host committee to make sure that we get these groups networked as much as possible. A lot of it really is about the personal one-to-one connection. I can't tell you how many times I've met somebody at an event, we exchange business cards, and we end up down the road working together and doing contracts and doing projects together and helping raise money and hire people and all that kind of stuff. So one is the host committee. The other is at the event, we make it really cheap. It's $15 to get in. You get the whole weekend for that. You get all the speakers. You get basically the whole thing. You get a free 1-year membership in Co-op America. You get a 10% discount at the Green Festival store and at the Global Exchange store. You get a year of Plenty magazine, 2 months of The Nation magazine. If you bring a mass transit stub that you rode the bus, you get $5 off. If you ride your bike, you get $5 off and free bike valet. We park the bike for you, keep it safe, etc. If you went to the Dalai Lama's talk and you show the ticket from that, you get $5 off. Students with ID get $5 off. Elders over 62, kids are free. We try to make it real easy for people to get into the event. But then we also, on the website, Green Festivals with an S, greenfestivals.org, you can stream all the speakers. We record, we tape audio and video, so you can watch them, you can listen to them. I just put them in the background when I'm doing some work around the house, because I'm running around at the event. I don't get a chance to hear the speakers other than myself, so I just play them in the background when I'm eating or, cooking or something like that. And we're also working on a building in Second Life, the virtual reality space, where we're going to have the Green Festival online. It's about a 4 or 5 story building. We're renting space to these same companies, and it's virtual reality. You go to secondlife.com. It's free. You download the software. You create an avatar, and when we open the building to the public, we're still building it out and filling it up. You'll be able to walk through the building, see all these products anytime from anywhere in the world that you have internet access and have access. Right now, there's no online place that's three-dimensional where you can walk through it, see all the products, walk around the products, find out the information about the products. And again, we'll screen these companies really tightly. It's not going to be just any companies that say they're organic. It's going to be real tightly screened. And then people will not only be able to shop, but you'll be able to have meetings there, concerts, speeches, all sorts of things, because you can talk to each other. You can have a conversation. You can have a conference call where you're sitting around a table with your avatars. In a normal conference call, it's just audio. There's no video. Well, in Second Life, when I want to talk, I have my avatar put his hand up in the air. Oh, Kevin wants to talk. He's got his hand up in the air. So you can you can fly in Second Life. So you could have architecture students fly over the building and say, hey, those solar panels are at the wrong angle. They should be over here because the sun goes on this track. You can do participatory stuff. We've had parties where there's like 40 or 50 people in the room and there's 20, 30 people up on the screen in Second Life. And, there's a woman from China, there's a guy from Brazil, there's somebody from Germany. Well, that's otherwise really expensive. Well, Second Life, virtual reality online, it's free. You're not paying for it. The voice part is voice over internet protocol. It's free. You're not paying. So it's cheaper, it's more effective, it's more socially connected, and it's better for the environment because you're saving all that airfare flying around to meet each other. So there's a lot of really great technology that's coming online right now that's going to help us accelerate this transition in the green economy, because if we don't speed this up, our grandchildren are going to be really ticked off. We're going to leave them a burnt cinder of a planet. And I got 2 kids. I want my daughters to be able to have kids and not worry about, oh my God, what kind of a world are they going to inherit? That's just not cool.
We're talking with Kevin Danaher. He is founder of the Green Festivals. And again, how can people find out more about both the Green Festivals and Global Exchange? The
Global Exchange website is just globalexchange.org, and Green Festivals is greenfestivals.org. And if you want to see a video fly-through of this building that we've created in Second Life, the website is globalcitizencenter.org, globalcitizencenter.org, and you'll see a little thing, Second Life. You click on it, and it runs a video fly through about 3 or 4 minutes where you go through the building, and it shows you this building that we've constructed and that we're going to open to the public probably in a few months.
Well, with that, we are unfortunately out of time. I want to thank you very much for spending time with us this morning.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks a lot.